Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Zappy here, back again with Hunter x Hunter. We're on episode 115 and I've had quite the day today. My webcam, while it looks, okay now because I'm using a different program, OBS had, frozen it. It frozen all the settings, in place, and the exposure was, so bright that you could barely even recognize me in the picture. It was ridiculous, and especially the light as well, because you can always see it in the background here, that the reflection off the posters and stuff is my big photographic light, so I get good light in here. Because of the exposure, the whole picture was completely blown out and you just couldn't say anything, so I had to get a new fucking recording program and start using that. So that's what we're using now. It shouldn't really change much. I don't think it's really changing anything. I've got all the settings and all that I want, and everything seems fine what I've tested, so everything should be normal anyway. But yeah, so episode 115, right. In the last couple episodes, we had Gon and Killua. They are now outside of the room where Neferpito is, who is healing Komugi right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. Gon right now is very one track. He's very focused. And I don't know if the situation with Komugi that's happening right now will cause him to, sort of remove him from that, or if he still will remain that focused and completely no, I don't really want to say oblivious, just very, it's something he's not really going to care about. I'm interested to see what will happen with that. I feel like maybe with Killua it'll be a bit more apparent because of the sort of kind of episode that he's having right now. But we'll see what happens with that. We also have Ikalgo, who is heading down to find Palm. We know that Wellfin and the other dude, the lobster dude, the blue lobster guy, they pretty much recognize right now that that's not actually Flutter, and it's some kind of imposter or whatever. So yeah, I'm sure that'll be coming back up very soon. We have Shoot and Knuckle, who are up against Yuppie right now. Knuckle was obviously under the sort of influence of that God's Accomplice thing that Mello has been making them completely unperceivable. But whilst all that was going on, Shoot was getting absolutely decimated, and Knuckle couldn't stand for it, so he came out and took the sort of aggro, I suppose is the correct term to use there, away from Shoot. So yeah, now it's kind of like a one-on-one situation, because Shoot is not really up for it right now. He's got a messed up leg, he can't walk on it, anything stuff like that. And if you recall last episode, I was discussing about the idea of Mello now using Shoot in some capacity, because I feel like that's the only way Shoot's going to really be able to help in the situation. In a one-on-one, I don't know. I know Knuckles good and everything, but Yuppie's that's next level stuff. There was a reason why they were going on a 2v1 sort of thing with the Royal Guards, to give them the best advantage possible. So a one-on-one's that's going to be tough. And what else? Oh yeah, Netero and Zeno are taking the King Meruem somewhere else, out in the middle of the desert somewhere, to obviously fight on their own as well. And yeah, I think that is it, right? I don't think there's anything else. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about. So we're just going to get into episode 115 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 115, and I noticed that the end there, the narrator didn't even say a word, right? There was nothing. Normally, at the end of an episode, the narrator has there ever been an episode before where the narrator has not said the last, the closing sentence to the episode? That one, I understand why. I understand why that would be the case, because, this is out of every episode so far, that has got to be possibly the biggest sort of cliffhanger, because you know what's coming next, right? I have a feeling I know what the fight is going to be like, based upon what I'm based upon Gon being as focused as he was. I said that before, the idea that I wonder if he's even gonna care that Kamugi's there or even notice, you know, because he's just got this one sort of track mind at the moment where the only thing that matters is the mission, but like it's almost like the mission is second hand right now, and Goon's got his own mission, and it's like a revenge mission against Neferpito. So everything else just becomes secondary, and I feel like how this is how the fight's going to go. So Goon, there may not even be like a time. Like there are many ways I could probably see the episode go next episode, but I can imagine it going like basically no words exchanged. Goon just immediately charges towards Neferpito. Right now, based upon the fact that Killua has been, you know, in this mission, like, and you know, episodes beforehand, like he's gradually been, his character has like changed, so, and now he sees things from Goon's point of view that Goon was thinking about, like, you know, back in Greed Island and the arcs beforehand, where he is he's sort of compassionate even to people that he would consider his enemy. And I remember, like, before this, like, at the very beginning of this arc, that I was saying to Goon, like, I don't want to hear any bullshit about you being compassionate towards these things. Just kill them. You know? Like, if you remember when I said that, because that was obviously a few episodes back now, but I did say that because I was getting annoyed with the fact that Goon was like, you know, like, I was, well, I say I was getting annoyed. It only really happened once, but it was the idea of the Greed Island arc, and he let the bomber dude, like, you know, he let them off, and I was like, fucking hell, but I just want them to just, you know what I mean? But, right, that's fair enough, you know, it goes into his character, but, like, for the Chimera Ants, it was always a case of, like, well, they're just not, like, human, there's nothing compassionate about them, though my mind has definitely been changed within the course of that time. Now, against Neferpito and whatnot, that remains to be seen. I mean, even then, I just, there is no real, I don't know, because the problem is that I do like her, and that's, like, it's not like a question of whether or not I like their characters and I like them when they're in the show kind of thing, you know? And I feel like with, like, because I don't know where the hell they go from here. Like, the Chimera Ants have been so, like, such a prominent and the best enemy, like, of the show so far. I mean, well, actually, you know what? See, because I say that because I was thinking about the Phantom Troop, but for some reason, like, in my head, I don't see the Phantom Troop as enemies, even though they are. It's like they're like the sort of, like, I almost picture them as like anti-heroes, and not for like really any reason, because like they aren't really anti-heroes at all. You know, because considering like some of the bad shit they do, like, it's not really anti-heroes because they're not going up against like the bad people. You know, because they've done bad shit to the good, like, to good people. So it's not even that. It's just that I'm trying to find like a word to associate that whole group with that is like relevant and people will understand, and therefore I go for that, like, the anti-hero thing, because generally in terms of, like, to a lot of people, the anti-heroes are the more, like, you know, like, they're like your secondary sort of like main heroes that you root for when it's them. So like anytime they show up, it's always a good thing, and I love it. You know, and especially when they're going up against like the likes of the Chimera Ants that we had those like couple of episodes where they were there. It was great to just root for them, you know. Because I do like them and I like their sort of dynamic and the characters. I love them, but I don't really, at this moment, like, there could be, and I mean, we're on episode 116 now. You know, we're coming in like the sort of like the last stretch of fucking episodes before the whole thing ends. I don't know how quickly this ends, like, because this could. I mean, I feel like this is like the last sort of immediate battle of the Chimera Ants, so I don't think it's really going to extend beyond this fight. Like, I don't see a case of, you know, like Neferpito and King Meruem getting away, and then we have to go through this whole thing again just to get to them and have another fight. But so I don't know. It's all dependent on these fights that are going to be happening right now and how long they take place, as to like really how long this arc has left, I'd imagine. And then the arc after that would have to, I mean, consider, because I would think that the arc after this one will be the last arc. It's because it's not going to be 2 mini arcs, I don't think. I feel like it will be another long one, and hopefully it ends on episode 151. Like, if it's in mid arc, fuck, that is going to annoy the shit out of me. I'm gonna be so fucking triggered if that's the case. But I don't know. I mean, it would, like, in order for me to be satisfied, it would have to end strong, even if it's like not the end of the whole, like, of the story as a whole, but as long as it like fulfills like an arc, and like it has to be, I would feel like on par with the Chimera Ant, and that's going to be tough. And I feel like the only way you could really do that is with the Phantom Troop, right? Like, it would have to be the Phantom Troop arc part 2 kind of thing. I mean, I guess it's not really the Phantom Troop arc was, I guess, like, somebody did comment, because I was calling it like the Phantom Troop arc before, but it's not really the Phantom Troop arc. It's like the like the auction arc, right? So, you know, so I guess like the true Phantom Troop arc would, I would assume, would be the one straight after this. But I don't know. I mean, there's also the case of like going trying to find his dad as well. I don't know if we ever get to that in the anime. I don't know. But I'm kind of going off track here anyway, because it's not really got anything to do with the episode, the episode that we just watched. But yeah, I mean, I can't even remember my original point. I was talking about enemies and stuff, wasn't I? Yeah, because yeah. So I feel like the fight with Gon, Killua, and Neferpitou is going to go like this because of how Killua's been acting. Gon is going to be on a one-track mind. He's going to go attack Neferpitou, like unaware of what really is going on there with Komugi. And depending on like the attacks and stuff, Komugi's like in the firing line. It's not good. Get her out of there, please, for God's sake. So there's that. Killua, I believe, is because he is in a more sort of calm state, that he's going to notice Komugi, and because of that he may try and get through to Gon about that. The only thing is like, oh god, like the shonen sort of like lover in me is just like wanting me to have like let them have a fight similar to how Netero and Meruem are going to have theirs, like out in the middle of nowhere, nothing can bother them, just let them fight. Because the fact that Komugi's there is an easy tool to go to sort of like introduce like some sort of moral dilemma about fighting Neferpitou, you know. And I just feel like because this whole thing ingrained into Gon at the moment, like, it needs to be let out, you know, because it all goes back to that time where Kite had his arm fucking cut off and Gon lost it, right? Now, from that moment, I feel like that anger, that just sheer fucking like beast nature that he has in him is just like being like lying dormant this entire time, waiting for this moment to like sort of unleash. So I feel like for that case, like that has to resolve, right? In this fight, it has to, for that to like, you know, have any sort of real hard-hitting feeling. So with Komugi there, it's an easy tool to stop the fight and like not let it play out, which is something that I don't really want. Now, it could be a case of, because I mean, it might be a bit harsh to say that Killua doesn't have as much like as involved with the whole like Kite situation, because he does. I mean, he was there alongside Gon the whole time. I just feel like because Gon has like, he's had a relationship with Kite beforehand, even though it was a very minor one, but also like the relationship between Kite and his and Jean, that it could be a case of Killua for a split second getting Komugi like out of there. But I don't know, because Killua would not want to leave his friend, surely, and I don't know how it's gonna go. Oh, we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, so Ikalgo, we'll go to him. So he was using Flutter's power. So yeah, it is a case of he can use whoever he is sort of influencing that he can use them. Now, Flutter is actually dead. I'm surprised by that. Now, I can only assume that when Ikalgo uses the body of somebody, that he kills them in the process. That must be what it is. Because I'm sure that Nov didn't kill him. Because Leol was using that IOU thing, right? And he can only use it as long as the person who he's borrowing the power from is still alive, right? That was like a condition of that power. So he was alive at that point, and he was just knocked out. I remember, because when we first saw him, he had like the, what did he have? Like the crossed out eye. It was like something that would like assume that, yeah, he was just knocked out. But he had to be alive at that point. So I assume then that the person has to be dead in order for Ikalgo to use them. And it's either that or he kills them in the process of taking them over, kind of thing. But yeah, because Wellfin had like smelled like death, and he's like decompose a body. Oh Christ! I mean, that's the thing. Is like he smelt it and it hit him hard. Now it's obviously the case of like he has a very strong sense of smell, but I don't know if it's a case of like if Flutter is dead and Ikalgo is using the body, if it is decomposing whilst he's using it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or does it halt the decomposing thing? And Wellfin's just getting like, it. I mean, to say a faint smell isn't right because it was strong to him, but it's just because he has such a strong sense of smell that even a faint smell would be strong. Like for that amount of time that he was slightly dead, like that's what he was picking up on. I don't know, but because then I was just thinking like maybe there is a time limit and really how long Ikalgo can use somebody, you know, like use a body. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just get like the Wellfin stuff out of the way. It's just like the way that ended. I feel like they could just leave that whole thing. Now, I don't like Hunter x Hunter's never been a one to just sort of, I guess, put in characters that don't really matter to anything, and I feel like Wellfin is one of those. You know, like. Because it's like almost the same kind of feeling that I got when we met Zepile for the first time, and I was like, what does is this like really going to have any real relevance to the story at all? And I mean, it kind of did, because I remember like watching like that episode where we were introduced to Zepile and being like, this could like be classed as filler. I don't know what like why we're getting information on like, you know, different wares and how like, you know, like box like. You know, those statue heads that have like stuff inside them, like instead of going in from the top, you come in from the side, you know. But that ended up working in sort of going in Killua's favor by using that as a tactic to like escape the Phantom Troop hideout, right? So there was some like relevance there. But with Wellfin, like there hasn't really been anything worthwhile for him to do. And so like every time we go to him, he's just it's funny. And I don't know if he is a character that is being used as a tool in a way to kind of just break up the fights so that you can take a break and a breather from the fights that are going on. Because I mean, I said that during the reaction, and it's a good, I suppose it is a good way to do that. Like, you know, go to a bit more of like a calm sort of, you know, catch your breath kind of moment. But I just find it funny because of the fact that he's so like skeptical and suspicious, and you know, just everything has to question everything, so he just becomes like this paranoid like mess, even to the point now where the whole plan that he had worked out about becoming king with what's his name, Bezif or whatever, now he's just wondering if it's even like is it even worth it? Should I even be on the Chimera Ants side at this point? I'm kind of just hoping that he just decides to not be on the Chimera Ant side and joins our group just so I can have him there and be like this paranoid guy that just like is constantly like in distrust of our own group, you know. I never want him to like actually go out and like be a traitor, like but just to have him there just for like comedic effect, because at this juncture, like, I'm just finding it funny. Before I was like, what are we doing here? Like, I thought like there may have been like something, like some side plot that actually works within it, because obviously he found like the blood and Nov's shoes and stuff, and you know, like he was the one with the information knowing that somebody was in here, he also has like slight knowledge of somebody being there with like Mello and stuff. He has the Ikalgo information, so he's like a very knowledgeable like Chimera ant at the moment that could give information to the royal, but it doesn't really matter at this point. That's the problem, because everyone's in fights now anyway. Like, it just yeah, I don't know. So whatever's happening with Wellfin just is, isn't it? So yeah, they're back with the Ikalgo thing and stuff. We had the narrator talk about the elevator codes and stuff like that, and how it has a scales within it so that it can weigh whoever's in the elevator at the time and correlate that to a certain code, which each person, I guess official who's got their own code, it correlates to their weight. So therefore, but then what if you've just ate a lot of shit that day, or you're carrying a bag? I don't know, just one of those things. It's crazy. And I did ask, how did Palm get up there then? Because surely, she would have had to have gotten up there by the elevator. But, and I did, slightly miss it. I could have gone back, but I don't really have the time right now. But I think they said that the only people that have really free reign of doing anything was Bezif and the other dude, right? And because of that, I believe Palm must have, gotten the elevator code from the dude and then use that to get up, and therefore, because it doesn't really account, that's one of the codes that doesn't account for correlating weight and everything like that going up, that it wouldn't flag a security thing, right? Which is good because I'm not sure if Palm would have known about that. It seems like something that only the narrator knows about, and obviously the Chimera ants and whatnot, but that aren't on our side. But yeah, it was interesting, and also the fact of that means that unless Ikalgo finds Palm, I feel like the only way he's going to be able to get up is via the elevator code. That's going to be yeah. It said one is a warning, and it shuts the doors completely off. So that means they can't try and get out and find another way out. Which means that the only thing they can do is try and get the code again. Now, if they fail 2 more times, the sleeping gas is released, right? And then they're captured and tortured. Now, the thing is that after the sleeping gas and whatnot, do the doors open automatically or whatever? Or is it something you have to try and get in there? Because if that's the case, it's just gonna, And also, does it, even if you type in a wrong code, does the elevator still go up, or does it just stay on the very bottom floor? Because at some point, if the sleeping gas is worked on Ikalgo, for example, right? Kilo and whatnot, they're gonna have to go down there to try and find them, and then they're not gonna know the code either. It's once you're down there, you're kind of fucked, unless there's another way out there, which I'm not sure there is. So, God knows. But I mean, there's got to be a reason why they even brought that up, So it's gonna have to come into play at some point. It's just a kind of a hope now if Palm is down there, And like I said during the reaction, and I'm sure I said it in a discussion a couple episodes back or a few episodes back, that I'm not I never really understood any reason why Palm would be down there again, unless she is down there cowering and in a state of fear. Which is reasonable, considering it happened to Nova as well. Even though I did say at one point that maybe Palm would be able to deal with it a bit more, and I said it was just because comedic, a sort of comedic effect kind of thing. She had her own evil aura thing, and maybe because of that she has some fight against it. But I don't understand any other reason why she would be down there, unless I don't know. I mean, I guess she could still remain calm, cool, and collected, I suppose, but I never really saw her as that kind of character. And she was oh well. But the thing is, if she's doing it for Nova and she wants to actually do the mission properly, then maybe in her the best interest, it was I can't really do it right now. I'll go back down and wait for another opportunity. Who knows? But yeah, I love Ikalgo's like sort just like it's sort of like righteous nature, like especially like to his friends, especially like friends of friends, like like she's a friend of my friend, therefore she's my friend. I love him, man. He's so lovable. He's such a lovable guy. So yeah, other than that, we had Zeno, who didn't go, and I mean, when he set off the dragon thing, right, and Netero and Meruem fucked off, I was like, oh, well, Zeno must have become the dragon then, because I obviously didn't see his character model on there, and I can't remember if we saw like a look at where Netero, Zeno, and Meruem was standing before that happened, and we couldn't see Zeno there. I'm not sure if that was a thing, but I just assumed that Zeno was going with him because he started the mission. I figured he would have been there to end it, but it seems like he doesn't know the ins and outs of the mission, and it seems like it's just a case of like Netero like calling up an old friend kind of thing and being like, help me out with this for a bit, like just get me into there and then I'll do the rest kind of thing. So it's going to be a one-on-one, which, oh god, that's going to be a hell of a fight. So yeah, Zeno's leaving, which is good. I mean, I had like that pegged as Zeno's death before. If it was a 2-on-1 situation, there was no way Meruem's gonna there's no way Netero and Zeno is getting out of that alive with King Meruem. Come on, I mean, he's supposed to be the most powerful being in the fucking show right now. So yeah, I mean, there was that. I suppose it could have been the other way, like Netero dying and Zeno getting out there, but I don't know. I mean, I guess that would have sort of lowered Netero's like abilities, and he wouldn't be as strong as like we thought. It would have undermined his power, I think, if that would have been the case. So yeah, it was probably a better thing that, yeah. So Zeno's leaving, which is good. He's getting out of there. And yeah, we've got the name of Shoot's sort of thing where he takes the the body parts and that, strictly eyes, it seems like most of the time anyway, which is Hotel Rafflesia, something like that. And yeah, poor Shoot, man. Like, you do feel sorry for him, like just crawling around, just like, like I can't pass out yet, because then it gets rid of. I mean, here's the thing, like in this mission, I'm glad I really called it from the start. Like, as soon as he came out the portal, like after that episode where they literally had just come out, one of the first things I said was Shoot. Like, I recognized Shoot's sort of change in, like, sort of, because he came out the portal and he noticed Yuppie, and for us, like, obviously, as you would do, not expecting him to be there, shocked for like a very split second, a minute second, and then immediately just went back to normal. No, mission's on. And from then on, like, calling it from that moment, like noticing that early on, that like having like a newfound respect for Shoot at that point, because beforehand there wasn't much to really go off on him other than the fact that he was like a coward, and this, like, this whole mission, he's like raised so far up. It's just, yeah, it does suck, just like trying to crawl around, like trying not to pass out, because because then that undoes all, like, the Hotel Rafflesia thing. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's how it's spelled, and I don't know how else you would say it. Rafflesia. I don't know. No, Rafflesia sounds better. And I mean, but that's the thing, is like, it's so minimal, like what he's managed to do with the Hotel Rafflesia thing, because he's only got one eye, right? Now, I said it during the reaction, I'm not sure how much of a help that blind spot's really going to be, but I do appreciate, like, the idea of him trying to stay awake just to keep that there, just in case that's the one thing that they need, and it's just, fuck. Shoot's up there, man. Shoot's like become like an MVP in this mission so far. Nobody's really gotten close, other than, well, I mean, Netero, of course, you know what I mean. But of course, that was all. He's like, Shoot was like the unlikely hero that came to play at this in this mission, and it's It's pity just seeing him, you know. I don't know what he can really do. Mello's gone off to, you know, find God and Killua. I guess he was just on the lookout for somebody else, and I don't know what really his idea is when he finds them. Is it to bring them back to help, or is it to join them and help deal with the enemy that they're up against at that very moment? You can't obviously go to Morel, that's it. For God's sake, I keep getting mixed up because every time I'm like thinking about Mello, I'm like, what's Morel's name? Because they're so like similar, but like it's almost like the opposite. Because Mello's real name is like, and I hate trying to pronounce it because like Melioron or something like that. Because like the L and R's are like pretty much like swapped in the names of Morel. So I'm just like, what the fuck is his name? I always keep forgetting it, man. So yeah, I mean, he couldn't get there because obviously the smoke prison kind of like works both ways, right? Or smoky jail, they call it. Works both ways. Like you can't get out, can't get in. So that was never going to, you know, happen. So yeah, I guess gone kill. I just thought, yes, that could work. At the start of this discussion, I was talking about how I was wondering how this fight was going to go, and if Mello gets there, he might be able to get out Komugi. And that would mean that Killua wouldn't have to leave good, which I don't think he would. But Killua's now like growing compassionate nature might get him to, you know, get Komugi out of there. But it's just like, will he leave his friend? That's a thing, you know. So yeah, maybe Mello does get there and is able to assist in that regard. Maybe that's it. And yeah, I mean, other than that, the fucking missile thing that Wellfin had, that was crazy. So it fires missiles to a certain location, and by like using his sort of like sense of smell and whatever, that he's able to determine like where they are, or I guess in this case where they were, and direct missiles towards that location where they're forced like a load of questions, and if they ever answer wrong, the attack goes off and kills anyone immediately, instantly. It's like it just is. It works with like his character, doesn't it? It's of course that's his ability. And I just the one thing I did write down is that, because it was interesting, is that the missiles could have actually worked against Perfect Plan. Like even though it's imperceivable to any other person, because the Perfect Plan thing is based of Nen, that another Nen thing could actually like affect it. So it's interesting that Perfect Plan, even though it's a Nen thing, makes you completely imperceivable. That Nen can sense Nen, but a person can't sense the Perfect Plan Nen. You know what I mean? I don't think I ever did we ever get that information? Like, if you were to use Gyo on Perfect Plan, would you be able to see an aura of Nen just sitting there, but you wouldn't be able to see like the likes of like Mello within it? I don't know if I ever asked that, and I don't think we ever got that information anyway, did we? Because I mean, theoretically, you're using Nen in Perfect Plan, but the idea is to make you imperceivable, not the Nen, right? Because the Nen's only perceivable if one uses Gyo, but I don't know if Perfect Plan is a specialty. I mean, I guess it could just easily be just a specialist, and because of that, it affects the Nen differently. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I've been ranting on for a long time now, and I've got to get episode 116 done. So that is all I've got. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I have links to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get yourself over there if you wish. And I also have a Patreon page as well. So if you do want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. I'm trying to get to doing this full time so I can get more content out for you guys. So if you do want to support me, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's the early access tier, $5 a month, gives you access to shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of Hunter x Hunter every week. That's 2 on Monday and 2 on Friday, as opposed to the general public only get access to 2 episodes, and that's on Monday. So by the time this episode comes out for YouTube for the general public, you will be able to go over, become an early access tier patron, and have access to the rest of the show and reactions, because I'll be finished the show at that point. So if you can watch from now until the end of the show within a month's time, it's only going to cost you $5 for the rest of the show. So it's a pretty good deal. There's also $10 there for full length. Doesn't really matter for this show, but for other shows you will need that. And then there are other tiers where you can pay to have me react to a show. So if you want me to react to a certain show, then go have a look at those tiers and see what they offer. But that is all I've got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.